So starting to look at our society, it says here in chapter 3 of The Art of War, the highest realization of warfare is to attack the enemy's plans. Next is to attack their alliances. And it ends at the bottom with actual conflict. And one thing it also points out is that conflict between armies is advantageous. Combat between masses is dangerous. So again, there's this recognition of you do not want like civil war. You don't want masses of conflict. You want isolated, strategic execution by trained armies between trained armies, hopefully. Um, that's where you're getting your advantage. But the highest realization is to attack the enemy's plans, to destroy their ability to fight before they can even fight. And I think maybe that's what was intended here, but I think we're seeing now that the highest realization of warfare is to attack the enemy's Tau, and that our Tau is under attack, or at least just deteriorating. In chapter 3 of The Art of War, it says, one whose upper and lower ranks have the same desires will be victorious. And in contrast to that, it says, in chapter 11, in antiquity, those who excelled in the employment of the army were able to keep the enemy's forward and rear forces from connecting, the many and the few from relying on each other, the noble and the lowly from coming to each other's rescue, the upper and lower ranks from trusting each other. So if you've got your Tau, your upper and lower ranks are cohesive. If your Tau is broken, the noble and the lowly, the upper and the lower, the few, the many are disconnected. So just based on that assessment, how's our Tau doing in America or in the West?
Probably on a pretty steep decline there, I'd say so myself.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of division, a lot of uh, lack of, again, they will have the same desires. Do we feel like we all have the same desires? Even if we say, well, um, we want America to flourish. We want America to be America, but we can't agree on what America is anymore. When it began, what defines it? So again, this is part of that disunity. So based on that assessment, we're not doing so hot. And then I thought I'd pull in a couple things here from slightly different material. This is from the Six Secret Teachings, which is one of the um, ancient Chinese military texts. This is the one that you would basically be executed for if you were found to own it. But it says here, as an advice to the ruler in terms of keeping the Tao, keeping the advantage in battle, the ruler must not loan the three treasures to other men. If he loans them to other men, the ruler will lose his awesomeness. Kind of a funny use of the term, but lose his power, right? Lose the Tao. So what are these three treasures, we might ask? Well, these three treasures are agriculture, industry, and commerce. Don't loan those to other men. Don't outsource agriculture, industry, and commerce. It says don't
Wow.
do that. How are we doing on that?
We're doing that.
We're
We're
doing that.
doing
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. It says, do not estrange your relatives. Do not neglect the masses. Um, how are we doing on that?
Hey, put your mask on 6 feet apart. Okay.
Right. Yes,
Get out of the
exactly.
house when you're 18.
Yes, exactly. Okay. So that was fun. I think this one's even more fun. This is from Aristotle's Politics, and he's talking about the methods by which tyrannies operate and preserve their power. So let's just do an assessment here. Um, their main three goals for a tyranny to maintain power is to prohibit common meals, clubs, and education, to make people adopt a defensive attitude against everything likely to produce two qualities of mutual confidence and high spirit. Um, to use every means for making every subject as much of a stranger as possible to every other,
Yeah.
and to require every resident in the city to constantly be appearing in public. Another way to say that would be surveillance opportunity being
Right.
constant. So another one would be use of secret police. Another one would be sowing mutual distrust and fostering discord between friend and friend, between people and notables, between one section of the rich and another. And finally, it benefits a tyrant to impoverish his subjects, partly to prevent them from having the means for maintaining a civic guard. That would be uh, Second Amendment stuff. Partly to keep them so busy with their daily tasks that they have no time for plotting. Um, to increase poverty of the tyrant's subjects, to curtail their leisure, the imposition of taxes produces a similar result. And here, the same vein of policy also makes tyrants warmongers, with the object of keeping their subjects constantly occupied and continually in need of a leader.
Wow.
So,
So like
did I describe some foreign state that nobody's ever heard of there?
uh absolutely. It may be something along the lines of the semi-United States of America there by chance. I mean,
Yeah.
that's incredible. Like, and this is, I mean, everybody, you know, the peasant like you and I that doesn't have knowledge of this, right? That is ignorant to this to some extent. Okay, understandable. Okay. But people that rule the world know this. They know this.
Yes.
They know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. And so, we've talked about this in multiple forms. Well, you keep the population distracted, bread and circus. You keep them anxious. They're just one paycheck away from being completely broke. So you have them on the hamster wheel. So they don't have time to even plot anything. There's no time. You can't go to the Green Dragon tavern in Boston now to plot your severance from the crown. You can't do that anymore because of the surveillance state, right? Because everybody's in public. And what's interesting about that as well is it's not like the 1984 version where we're looking at all. I mean, we got the 5G towers, but the Pokemon Go, like where
Mhm.
everybody has a reason to have their camera on and pointed out, or you just have it pointed towards you now. And so you're completely always on display. And so literally everything that we've been talking about has come to fruition. And it's almost like one of those like multiple choice questions, those like kind of retort, like are you really
Yeah.
asking these kinds of questions, like A, B, C, or D, all of the above, like pick your
Yeah.
poison. And
Okay.
that's literally what this is. And so, you know
We still got a few more to go.
oh, okay, we're still going. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah, we're not done. We're not done yet. Okay. So again, still Aristotle. Tyrants' first end and aim is to break the spirit of their subjects.
Mm.
They know that a poor-spirited man will never plot against anybody. Their second aim is to breed mutual distrust. Tyranny is never overthrown until people can begin to trust one another, and this is the reason why tyrants are always at war with the good. They feel that good men are dangerous to their authority, not only because they think it shame to be governed despotically, but also because of their loyalty to themselves and to others, and because of their refusal to betray one another or anyone else. The third and last aim of tyrants is to make their subjects incapable of action. So, again, that seems pretty familiar. But what just made me laugh when I read this the other day was advice he's giving to the tyrants. One of the things he says, just don't be a drunkard. But I mean, if you're gonna be a drunkard, at least don't let people see it. Don't just parade it around, like keep it behind doors. And then he says, The tyrant should be personally free from any suspicion of sexually abusing any of his subjects, boy or girl, and all of his associations should be equally free from suspicion.
It should be equally free from. So it's okay if you do it. Just make sure that it's hidden that you're doing all
Yeah,
this.
but like, how is it? Like, it seems like a crazy thing that we would have this Epstein stuff going on, but
Yeah,
it's like this is a
that's
common thing.
literally what it's talking about.
Yeah, 2000 years ago, 3000 years ago, people were like, "Oh yeah, yeah, probably shouldn't do that because people kind of do that and it gets um gets robbed. A tyrant should abstain from every form of arrogant behavior and from two forms above all others, the infliction of physical chastisement and of sexual abuse of the young." It's the biggest no-nos.
It just goes in tandem with being a tyrant,
Yeah.
abusing
Yeah.
children or being, a drunkard or whatever the case may be. It's like they pointed out on display, like this is typically what tyrants do. And we understand that, that being a tyrant, you're gonna want to do, this, and you're gonna want to be a drunkard. So just make sure that you keep it under the radar because the people that you're oppressing might not like that and they might stand up. They
Yep.
feel they might feel like they're pushed into a corner if they view their leader as being a drunk idiot that abuses children. Maybe
Yep.
that's enough to get you overthrown. And
Yep.
that's just a given for tyrants, though. Like in
Yeah.
order to be a tyrant, you must engage in these behaviors.
Yeah, seems like that. So, okay, the final assessment is back to the six secret teachings. And he talks about how people are prepared for combat, whether it's revolutionary combat or something the ruler could draw on. And I found this one pretty interesting and revealing for today as well. He said, the implements for offense and defense are fully found in ordinary human activity. Uh, Digging sticks serve as caltrops, other things. Um, Oxen and horse-pulled wagons can be used in the encampment as covering shields. The different hoes can be used as spears and spear-tipped halberds. Raincoats of straw and large umbrellas serve as armor and protective shields. Large hoes, spades, axes, saws, mortars, and pestles are tools for attacking the wall. So he's saying people have the weapons they need. Now, this is a little bit dated, but you'll see why I'm bringing this in a second. The method that the men use for leveling fields is the same thing for attacking walls. So, them working out in the fields gives them the skills they need to attack a city's walls. The skill needed in spring to cut down grass and thickets is the same as is needed for fighting against chariots and cavalry. The weeding method used in summer are the same used in battle against foot soldiers. So he's saying the people out there doing their farming, doing their physical activity, are building up strength and they're able to use that strength and translate it directly to the battlefield. I think you can see where I'm going with this.
Yeah, dude.
And so this is the way to enrich the state and strengthen the army. The tools for employing the army are completely found in ordinary human activity. Um, and yeah, so you make use of what you have and you take advantage of the strengths that people have. The problem is we're in a different time. And do we have just a plethora of people in our society who are out there doing those sorts of physical activities that would prepare them for being useful in warfare?
Well, Rob, that's a fantastic question, and I'm just going to answer it with this little statement. You know, I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say that it's a disturbing amount of people that get upset when their French fries are cold in the line of a drive-through restaurant. They can't emotionally deal with the fact that the product that they've received while being in an air-conditioned vehicle, waiting in line, handing somebody some illusory paper that is supposed to be currency for the product that is a French fry. If it's cold, they don't know how to deal with that. People are satiated, like we've been saying, with convenience, low attention spans. We don't know what to do anymore. We can't. We're like fish bowls, man. We're like fish swimming in fish bowls. We've got a 10-second attention span. We have no idea where we are who we are, what we're doing, and we're just waiting for the next bell and whistle to bing off so that we can feel comforted. Nobody encourages fitness. Nobody encourages resilience. Nobody encourages being self-reliant. And it's all large, centralized institutions that are soaking up all of the resources. And on top of that, soaking up all of the information and means so that you have to rely on them. You have to, so that you can't even wipe your own butt without asking for help because you just don't know how to do it anymore. You don't, you need somebody to help you out with that. And that over dependency is exactly what we're discussing here. If you know how to do certain things, you can take those skills and those traits and apply them to maybe overthrowing a tyrannical government. And so if they can kind of offload all of those skills from the population that could be turned into means to overthrow them, the better. And then then we just end up like all the people in Wall-E where we're just floating in our thing, with IVs of Coke in our arms, and we have both kinds of Coke. Hey, pick your poison, whatever you want, whatever floats your boat. And that's eventually where we're all going to end up, just cattle, just being sucked from whatever resource we can provide for the government. And currently it's income, right? But we're seeing now we're just biological, earners for them. So if they can get rid of the biological aspect and then replace it with autonomous robots that'll do everything for them, the more the better. And I think that people have been sold a lie in thinking that, oh, once the robots come and take over all the jobs, the government's just going to provide us with income, and we can then we can do all of the underwater basket weaving we want. We can paint all the walls we want, and the government's just going to pay us because the robots are going to do everything, and everything's going to be kumbaya. No, no, it's going to be a game, and not to get too. And look, what it appears to be happening is it's a game of musical chairs. There's a finite level of options. There's a finite level of resources available. I don't buy into that. I think there's much more abundance than we give ourselves credit for. But what's essentially playing out is it's a game of musical chairs, and they want to pit people against each other for the illusion that there's a scarce level of resources, so that the people on top can remain in control. If the people are fighting and distracted for whatever reason, then we're all